Hi there. I have some sights to show you here in Arkansas. Next time you breeze through North Little Rock, check out the Old Mill, which was filmed during the opening scenes of Gone with the Wind. That movie just blows me away. The Old Mill was built in 1933, and not by a carpenter, but by an artist. It looks authentically complete and weather-beaten, but actually has no doorways or windows underneath the facade. Think there's a window behind that shutter? Think again. The Old Mill is a good symbol of early rural Arkansas, where cotton was the main crop, and sawmilling the first industry. I guess back in those days when life was a bit slower than today, people were always milling about. The artist who created the Old Mill also designed the footbridges, like this one. His name was Señor Dionico Rodriguez, and he specialized in creating imitation rocks, ruins, and ancient buildings. Wow! Not every artist is good enough to create brand new things that already look antique. Over yonder in the Ozark Mountains, the limestone hills echo with the sound of down-home music during the Arkansas Folk Festival, where it sure takes pluck to fiddle with the banjo. See you later. Hi, we'll have a whale of a time touring Connecticut's old whaling town called Mystic. It's no fluke that this ship, the Charles W. Morgan, is still around. It's a classic example of an old three-masted wooden whaling ship built back when shipbuilding was an art form. Connecticut was once the leading whaling state, back when fleets of ships hunted down whales for their oil, which was used to make soap, wax, and other products. The U.S. today has banned most whaling, which makes me happy, because I love whale song. I'll bet the whales are happy about it, too. It's not a mystery why this town called Mystic prospered. During the 19th century, over 300 ships were built in this shipyard. Today, the recreated town of Mystic Seaport serves as a living window to sailing history. See what I mean? Fishing villages like this one are typical of Connecticut, which is an Indian word meaning long tidal river. With its miles of Atlantic coastline, Connecticut sure is beautiful, isn't it? Here in Mystic, you can watch traditional shipbuilders constructing sailing vessels by hand. Before the invention of steam engines, tall, masted clipper ships were the fastest vessels in the world and the most elegant. Try putting one of these in a bottle. See you later. Oh boy, Illinois! Let me tell you what I know about Chicago. Chicago is the birthplace of the skyscraper, so it makes sense that it contains Sears Tower, rising 1,454 feet above the city. Sears Tower is the tallest structure in the U.S. It also has the highest observation deck around, with a truly breathtaking view. If you're afraid of heights, don't look down. This is Buckingham Fountain in Grant Park. The flumes of water reach up to 150 feet high. During the summer, colored lights illuminate the showers of falling water, making for a beautiful but wet show. Anyone have an umbrella? If you're ever in Chicago and someone tells you to go jump in the lake, you'll know which one. This strip of water is just a small part of the mighty Lake Michigan, one of the Great Lakes. Chicago has inspired songs, poems, and novels. It's the center for the blues, one of my favorites, as well as the arts. It's also the third largest city in the U.S., despite the fact that almost the entire city burned down in the Great Fire of 1871. Talk about a hot time in the old town. See you later. Hey there! Let's take a minute to marvel at Minneapolis, Minnesota. This impressive site is a Basilica of St. Mary. A basilica is a cathedral that gets a promotion, and St. Mary's was the first one ever named in the United States. Many people come to visit this Roman Catholic church, so I guess you could say it's an example of mass transit. The Guthrie Theater is one of the nation's best-known theaters. It's home to a permanent group of actors who perform classical plays, such as Shakespeare's Hamlet. While in Minneapolis, if you start wondering whether to be or not to be, just check out the Guthrie. Here's a Capitol idea. Let's check out the Capitol building. It's more like a work of art, really, adorned with sculptures and murals by eminent artists. Even the roof is an artistic feat. It's one of the largest self-supporting marble domes in the world. Next time someone says, "in a pig's eye," they may be talking about St. Paul. Legend has it that the city was originally named Pig's Eye after an old fur trader. As the city grew, it was renamed St. Paul and joined with the city of Minneapolis to become the Twin Cities. See you later. Hello. I've got a river of information about Natchez, Mississippi. If you were living in the early 19th century, you might find your way here to Mississippi along the Natchez Trace, a historic wilderness road used by Indians and white settlers that connected the frontier states. Today, of course, you could just fly here directly and skip the mosquitoes. The town of Natchez was named after the Natchez Indians, who lived in the area before the arrival of the European settlers. Natchez means unknown, and there's much we don't know about this tribe. But we do know that the Natchez Indians believed their chief was descended from the sun god, and they carried him around on a litter so that his feet never touched the ground. You can just make out the Mississippi River in the distance. The Big Muddy is one of the longest and widest rivers in the world and is used by barges, ships, and impressive steam-powered paddle boats. The Edelweiss House is one of the many mansions that make Natchez such a picture-perfect place to visit. It's actually designed like a Swiss chalet, which is appropriate, since an Edelweiss is a flower found only at high altitudes, like the Swiss Alps. This magnificent mansion is called the Parsonage House, so named because it was built as the home of a church minister. It's done in the bold artistic style called Greek Revival, but I haven't seen them revive any ancient Greeks yet. You can look north, east, and west, but you won't find a better symbol of the Old South than this mansion, the Rosalie. It was the first building designed in the famous plantation style. It's worthy of a great painting. See you later. Hi, let me show you St. Louis, here in the Show Me State. Okay, I'm taking you to court. The old courthouse, that is. This landmark was a site of the famous Dred Scott trial, which affected the fate of runaway slaves for years to come. Artifacts within the building tell the story of St. Louis, from its beginnings as a fur trapper's way station to a modern-day metropolis. This is Busch Stadium. It was built in 1966 to match the nearby Gateway Arch. And of course, it's the home of baseball's St. Louis Cardinals. With all their pennants, the Cardinals may play in Busch Stadium, but they're definitely not Busch League. Although its big brother, the Mississippi, is more famous, the Missouri is actually the longest river in the United States. It flows out of Montana, then joins up with the Mississippi River just north of the Gateway Arch. How's that for current information? This is the extraordinary Gateway Arch. You can take a tram up each side of the arch to the top, which stands 630 feet above the city of St. Louis. Don't worry, it's safe. The arch is so well designed that it can withstand windstorms, lightning, and even earthquakes. It just can't stand straight. Completed in 1965, the Gateway Arch commemorates President Thomas Jefferson, who encouraged westward expansion with the Louisiana Purchase. When architect Eero Saarinen entered a design competition with this unusual piece, everyone loved his proposal. I guess this means the architect had no arch enemies. See you later. Time for a tour of Toro Park, here in Newport, Rhode Island. Over here, we have my favorite nook, the Newport Art Museum. Stick around, and you'll notice it was built in the stick style, a type of architecture characterized by the intricately carved wooden latticeworks used for decoration. The exhibits in the museum feature art from both Newport and the surrounding New England area. Not far from here, you can find Toro Synagogue, the oldest Jewish temple in the United States. It's also considered a masterpiece of 18th century colonial architecture. You could say the architect had a unique angle. He built the synagogue with a particular orientation in mind, facing directly towards far-off Jerusalem. This is charming Toro Park, named after Isaac de Toro, who arrived in Rhode Island in 1758, and I can understand why he came here. Many historians claim that charming Newport was America's first resort town. Wealthy merchants have been vacationing here for over 200 years. Two statues in Toro Park represent two different kinds of pioneers who both made their start in Newport. Right here we have Commodore Matthew Perry, the explorer who opened up trade between Japan and the world. Over at the Channing Memorial Church, the nearby building with the dramatic spire, you'll find the statue of William Ellery Channing, the leader of the Unitarian Church. If you see people milling about this old structure, known as the Old Stone Mill, they're probably looking for kernels of truth about an old rumor. You see, many people believe that the mill is a remnant of an ancient Viking tower. No one has ever confirmed the legend, but many historians think that the structure was actually a windmill built by a descendant of Benedict Arnold, the infamous American trader. See you later. Hello, let's see if Nashville, Tennessee, home of country music, strikes a chord with you. One of Opryland's many attractions is the General Jackson Showboat Review, a floating musical extravaganza on the world's largest showboat. It's a spectacle that really makes a splash. You ain't nothing but a hound dog if you don't know that Elvis Presley lived right here in Tennessee, in a mansion called Graceland. Presley was more than just a great performer. His unique blending of different musical styles changed rock and roll music forever. In Tennessee, you can visit the Grand Ole Opry. That's Opry, not opera, so don't expect anyone to start singing in Italian. The Grand Ole Opry has been performing country music before a live audience since 1925. It started in the famous Ryman Auditorium in downtown Nashville, but has since moved to Opryland. The most famous names in country music have performed at the Grand Ole Opry, including Roy Rogers, Johnny Cash, and Garth Brooks. So, if you want to be a country music star, polish your boots, tune up your guitar, and head on out to the Opry. See you later.